the Must-See Film Club.
Think about the opening scene. We don't meet our hero, John McClane, kicking down a door. We meet him on a plane, white-knuckling the armrests.
Exactly. He's getting advice from another passenger on how to deal with his fear of flying. Director John McTiernan intentionally introduces him with a very human, almost mundane vulnerability. He makes him seem, as one analysis put it, somewhat less manly right from the jump.
It's 1988. The action landscape is dominated by Sylvester Stallone as Rambo and Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando, literally invincible, muscle-bound titans who are more like gods than men. And then you get this guy, a New York cop in a white tank top and slacks, just hoping to patch things up with his estranged wife for Christmas.
That's the core of it. He's not there to save the world. He's there to save his family. The stakes are intensely personal, which gives the entire film a narrative gravity that was missing from the genre. This wasn't just a new action movie, it was a fundamental reinvention of the action hero, moving from the invulnerable to the deeply, relatably fallible.
And this reinvention wasn't even the original plan. The film is based on a 1979 novel called Nothing Lasts Forever by Roderick Thorpe.
Right, which was a sequel to his earlier book, The Detective, which was adapted into a 1968 film starring Frank Sinatra. So, technically, they had to offer the role of John McClane to a 73-year-old Sinatra first. It's a wild piece of Hollywood trivia.
That is incredible, but the novel's tone is much darker, more cynical. The hero is older, and the terrorists are politically motivated, not thieves. The screenwriters, Jeb Stewart and Stephen E. D'Souza, made a pivotal decision to transform it.
They injected humor and heart into it. But the biggest gamble was the casting of Bruce Willis. He wasn't an action star. He was David Addison from the TV show Moonlighting, a charming, wisecracking romantic lead. Audiences primarily knew him for comedy.
That casting choice is everything. With Schwarzenegger in the role, it's just another action movie. With Willis, you believe he's in over his head. You believe he's scared. You believe he's hurting. He brings that everyman relatability that makes you root for him, not because he's a superhero, but because he's just a guy like us, caught in an impossible situation.
He's resourceful, over-reliant on brute force. He doesn't have a plan. He's improvising moment to moment. That underdog spirit connected with audiences in a way the one-man army archetype no longer could. It wasn't about the size of his muscles, it was about the speed of his wit and the depth of his resilience.
Which brings us to the setting. Nakatomi Plaza is as much a character in this film as McClane or the villain Hans Gruber. McTiernan's direction makes the building, which was actually the then under-construction Fox Plaza, feel like both a prison and a playground.
Absolutely. The confined setting is a huge innovation. It creates this incredible intimacy and tension. McTiernan's direction is praised for its clear spatial clarity. You always understand the geography of the action. You know where McClane is, where the terrorists are, and how they relate to each other on this vertical chessboard. He's using elevator shafts, air ducts. The environment is part of the story.
Wait, let's talk about the ultimate symbol of his vulnerability, which is directly tied to the setting. Early on, he takes off his shoes and socks to relax his feet after the flight. And then the attack happens, and he never gets them back on.
And the filmmakers weaponize that against him. The scene where he has to run barefoot over shattered glass is brutal. You see him physically wincing, picking shards out of his bloody feet. But what's genius is that right after, he gets on the walkie-talkie and his voice is calm and collected, hiding his pain from Gruber. It perfectly captures his physical vulnerability and his mental toughness in one sequence.
It's all part of this visual language of decay. He starts in a clean white undershirt, and by the end, it's torn, grimy, and blood-stained. That shirt became a cultural icon, preserved in the National Museum of American History because it's a visual summary of his entire journey. He's not invincible. He physically accumulates the punishment of his ordeal.
McTiernan strips him of all the usual action hero armor. No bulletproof vest, no big guns at the start, not even shoes. It forces McClane and the audience to rely on cleverness instead of firepower. It's a masterclass in using limitations to drive creativity and suspense.
You can't have a great hero without a great villain, and Hans Gruber is, without question, one of the greatest in cinema history.
Played to perfection by the late Alan Rickman in his first feature film role. Like Willis, he was an unconventional choice, a classically trained stage actor, and he completely redefined the action movie antagonist.
Gruber isn't a mindless brute or a cackling madman. He's intelligent, charming, and meticulous. He's essentially McClane's opposite. Where McClane is chaotic and improvisational, Gruber is all about control and precision. He's a thief who masterfully cloaks his heist as an act of political terrorism to misdirect the authorities.
And Alan Rickman himself was instrumental in shaping that character. The script originally had him in standard terrorist gear. Rickman suggested Gruber wear a bespoke suit. He wanted him to look like he could run a corporation, not just a terrorist cell. It made him a smooth, classy gent on the outside and a disruptive sociopath on the inside. That duality makes him so compelling and unpredictable.
That's a perfect description. He's the driving force of the narrative. He initiates the plot, he sets the challenges, and his intelligence forces McClane to constantly adapt and evolve. Their relationship, mostly conducted over a walkie-talkie, is the heart of the film. It's a battle of wits as much as a battle of wills.
It's a paradigm shift for villains. Before Gruber, villains were often just physical obstacles. After Gruber, the best action villains became intellectual and charismatic foils to the hero, from the Joker in The Dark Knight to Silva in Skyfall. He raised the bar for what an antagonist could be.
So you have this perfect storm, a relatable hero, a brilliant villain, a contained setting, and flawless execution. Hollywood, being Hollywood, saw one thing: a formula. And that formula became its own subgenre, Die Hard on a...
It became a pitch meeting shorthand for years. You had Under Siege, that's Die Hard on a battleship. You had Speed, which is Die Hard on a bus, and a fantastic elevation of the formula.
Cliffhanger, starring Stallone of all people, was Die Hard on a mountain. Air Force One was Die Hard on the President's plane, with Harrison Ford, an actor known for playing vulnerable heroes, taking up the mantle.
The list is endless. Con Air is Die Hard on a prison transport plane. The Rock is Die Hard on Alcatraz. And it never really stopped. In 2013, we got 2 Die Hard in the White House movies, with Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down.
This is wild. Even as recently as 2018, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson starred in Skyscraper, which was so overtly Die Hard in a skyscraper that the promotional poster was a direct homage. To emphasize the vulnerability aspect, they literally gave his character a prosthetic leg.
My favorite recent example has to be 2022's Violent Night, which is proudly Die Hard with Santa Claus. David Harbour plays a disillusioned Santa who has to fight mercenaries, and they even give him PTSD flashbacks from his Viking warrior past to layer in that vulnerable hero element. The formula is so robust that it can even absorb Santa.
It's because the core concept is so strong and adaptable. The confined location provides narrative focus and tension, while the everyman hero provides the emotional anchor. It's a blueprint that revitalized the action genre because it put character and situation ahead of pure spectacle. 30-plus years later, the film's influence is everywhere. Beyond the direct clones, you can see its DNA in the grounded, brutal fight choreography of films like The Raid or the John Wick series, where the hero is hyper-competent but still feels pain and exhaustion.
It's a testament to its impact that in 2017, Die Hard was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. It's not just an action movie, it's a piece of American film history.
And it's interesting looking back at 1988. In our episode on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, we talked about how that film revolutionized animation by blending it with live action. In the same year, Die Hard did something similar for action. It blended high-octane spectacle with grounded human drama, creating something new and enduring.
And of course, we can't end without touching on the great, unresolved debate that resurfaces every single December. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
The arguments are strong on both sides. It takes place on Christmas Eve, the plot is set in motion by a Christmas party, and the core emotional story is about a family trying to reconcile for the holidays. The soundtrack is filled with Christmas music. It has all the thematic ingredients.
But at the same time, it's a hard R action film about a terrorist heist. For a lot of people, that disqualifies it from being in the same category as, say, It's a Wonderful Life, which we also covered. But maybe that's the final piece of its legacy. Just like John McClane himself, the film defies easy categorization. It's an action movie, a thriller, a dark comedy, and yes, for many, the greatest Christmas movie ever made.
Let it snow, let it snow.